Good morning. It's Thursday, February 20th. We're in the lesson quarterly of God's Love and Justice. Today's lesson is called Christ Has Overcome the World. If everything occurred according to God's ideal will, there would never have been evil, but only the perfect bliss of love and harmony. Eventually, the universe will be restored to this perfect ideal will of God. In the meantime, God is working out His will in a way that takes into account the free decisions of His creatures. Imagine a baking competition in which all the participants are required to use some particular set of ingredients, but they can add any other ingredients they want in order to bake any kind of cake they want as well. In the end, whatever cake the baker ends up making will be determined at least partially by some ingredients that the baker did not choose. Similarly, in this limited respect, because God has committed Himself to respecting creaturely freedom of the kind necessary for love, many of the ingredients that make up the world history are not chosen by God, but are actually the opposite of what God desires. In this view, divine providence is not simply one-dimensional. Excuse me. As if God unilaterally controls everything that happens. Rather, this requires at least a two-dimensional view of God's providence. Some things in this world are caused by God, but other occurrences are the result of the free decisions of creatures, as are all evils. Many things happen that God does not want to happen. Read John 16:33. These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. What hope, even amid tribulations, does this text offer us? Well, it tells us right out to be of good cheer because God's already won. Particularly in times of suffering or trial, people's faith may waver because they hold the mistaken belief that God will or should spare them from suffering and trials in this life. But Jesus tells us a very different story, warning His followers that they will experience trials and tribulations in this world. But there is hope, for Christ has overcome the world. The fact that we encounter suffering and trials does not mean that this is what God ideally wants for us. We must always keep in mind the big picture, the great controversy. However, we can be confident that while evil itself is not necessary for good, God can bring good even out of evil events. And if we trust God, God can use even our sufferings to draw us closer to Him and to motivate us to be compassionate and to care for others. There are no discussion questions for today. All right, thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.